What if the reason you can't sleep through the night has nothing to do with your habits, and everything to do with biology your doctor might not have explained yet? Because there are 5 medications with real evidence behind them specifically for people over 70, and most people have never heard of them, while they're reaching for things that are actually on a warning list. That's what this video is about. What's happening in your body, why the things most people try either don't work or make things worse, and the 5 medications worth having a real conversation with your doctor about. Let's get into it. Your brain runs on a 24-hour internal clock, your circadian rhythm, and it controls when your body releases the hormones that make you sleepy and when it pulls them back to wake you up. After 70, that clock starts to drift, and the main hormone driving the whole system, melatonin, drops off sharply. Now here's the part most people haven't heard. In a healthy young adult, melatonin levels at night are roughly 8 to 10 times higher than they are during the day. That big surge is what pulls you into deep sleep and keeps you there. In adults over 70, that nighttime surge shrinks to about twice the daytime level. Think about what that means. The signal your brain uses to say, it's time to sleep, stay asleep, go deep. That signal is a fraction of what it used to be. You're trying to hold sleep together on a whisper of the hormonal support that used to do it automatically. And it's not just melatonin. Your sleep architecture changes too. You spend less time in the deep restorative stages, the slow wave sleep that repairs your body and consolidates memory, the kind where you wake up actually feeling rested. More of the night gets spent in lighter stages, stages where the smallest disruption, a noise, a trip to the bathroom, a shift in temperature, pulls you all the way out. So it's not that you're sleeping badly, it's that your brain is biologically less equipped to hold you in sleep than it was 20 years ago. That's documented. And it's happening to roughly half of everyone over 75. Let me be straight with you about why this matters, because it's not just about feeling tired the next day, it's about what chronic sleep fragmentation does over time. Harvard Medical School followed more than 2,800 adults aged 65 and older for 5 years. People sleeping fewer than 5 hours a night were twice as likely to develop dementia and twice as likely to die from any cause, compared to people sleeping 6 to 8 hours twice. Not slightly elevated, not a modest increase, twice. A separate European study, nearly 8,000 people tracked for 25 years, found that persistently sleeping 6 hours or less across your 50s, 60s and 70s was linked to a 30% increase in dementia risk, even after controlling for every other health factor they could measure. So, what does that actually mean for the person watching this right now? 5 years from now, 10 years from now, this is how people lose the thread. Someone who used to drive themselves anywhere they needed to go, who remembered the names of every grandchild's teacher, who followed a conversation in a noisy restaurant without missing a beat, and slowly that starts to go. Not from one dramatic event, from 1,000 broken nights that compounded quietly year after year, while everyone assumed it was just aging. I've seen that trajectory. It doesn't announce itself. That's what makes it so dangerous. You don't have to be that person, but that means finding a solution that actually works, not just something to knock you out. And that brings us directly to what most people are reaching for right now. Someone can't sleep. They go to the pharmacy. They grab something off the shelf. Tylenol PM, Zizquil, Benadryl, Unisom. It says sleep aid right on the label. Looks totally reasonable. Maybe it worked okay when they were in their 50s, and they have no idea, none, that the active ingredient in almost all of those products, diphenhydramine, is on a formal warning list maintained by the American Geriatric Society, specifically for adults over 65. Researchers surveyed over 1,000 older adults using OTC sleep medications and found that nearly 60% of them were unknowingly taking a product containing diphenhydramine or doxylamine. Products that the Beers criteria, the American Geriatric Society's official guidance, explicitly says should be avoided in this age group. And here's the thing, the problem isn't that these medications don't work, it's what they do to the aging brain while they're working. Diphenhydramine is a strong anticholinergic. It blocks receptors in the brain that are critical for memory and cognition. The older brain is already more sensitive to that effect, so you get the grogginess, then the cognitive fog the next day, then the increased fall risk, and with regular use, a documented association with long-term cognitive decline. Not three things, in sequence, building on each other. You're reaching for something to protect your sleep, and it may be quietly working against your brain at the same time. I had someone tell me once she was in her mid-70s, sharp as a tack, managing a dozen things at once, and she mentioned almost in passing that she'd been taking Tylenol PM most nights for a couple of years. She didn't think it was a big deal. It was over the counter. How dangerous could it be? And I had to sit her down and explain exactly what she'd just told me. She had no idea. Nobody had told her. That stuck with me. Because how many people are in that exact situation right now? So if not those, then what? There are 5 medications with solid, specific evidence for adults over 70. They work in very different ways, which matters, because the type of sleep problem you have should drive which one you and your doctor consider. Medication 1, low-dose doxepin, brand name Silanor. The doses are tiny, 3 milligrams and 6 milligrams. To put that in context, doxepin as an antidepressant is prescribed at 75 to 150 milligrams. We're talking about a fraction of that. At those low doses, it doesn't function like an antidepressant at all. It acts as a very selective antihistamine. It blocks one specific receptor that promotes wakefulness in the final hours of the night, which is exactly when most older adults lose sleep. That 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m. wake up that won't let you get back down. That's what this is designed for. It's the only antidepressant with FDA approval specifically for insomnia, no dependence, not a controlled substance. And the side effect profile at these low doses in older adults is comparable to placebo in multiple trials. That's a meaningful distinction when most of the alternatives carry real risk. Medication 2, Ramelteon, brand name Rosarem. This one works completely differently. It's a melatonin receptor agonist. It doesn't sedate you. It doesn't knock you out. What it does is mimic the signal your pineal gland used to send reliably and now sends at a fraction of the strength. Remember that collapsed melatonin surge we talked about? Ramelteon binds to the exact receptors melatonin targets, telling your brain's clock it's nighttime and time to transition towards sleep. It's specifically indicated for difficulty falling asleep, the counterpart to doxepin. One helps you fall asleep, the other helps you stay asleep. Together, they cover the 2 most common complaints in this age group. Also not a controlled substance, no DEA scheduling, no dependence risk, no rebound insomnia when you stop. For anyone who's wary of habit-forming medications, that matters. The next 2 are a newer class entirely. They work on a completely different system in the brain, and understanding how they work actually makes them easier to talk about with your doctor. Medication 3, Suvorexant, brand name Belsomra. Your brain has a wakefulness system. It runs on a chemical called orexin, and its entire job is to keep you awake and alert. During the day, that's exactly what you want. At night, ideally, that system quiets down and lets sleep take over. But in many older adults, that wake drive doesn't fully stand down. It keeps firing, and you end up lying there, tired, but somehow unable to cross over. Suvorexant doesn't sedate you the way older sleep medications do. It doesn't suppress your whole central nervous system. What it does is block orexin. It turns off the wake signal directly. You're not being chemically knocked out. Your brain is being given permission to do what it's already trying to do. It works for both falling asleep and staying asleep. And compared to the older benzodiazepines, things like Valium, Restoril, Halcion, which are still being prescribed more than they should be, Suvorexant has a meaningfully lower risk profile for cognitive impairment, fall risk, and next-day sedation. Medication 4, Lemborexant. Brand name Dayvigo. Same class as Suvorexant, but with a shorter half-life, meaning it clears your system faster. Less lingering sedation the next morning. Less grogginess at 7 a.m. The Sunrise, one trial compared Lemborexant head-to-head with extended-release Zolpidem in older adults. Lemborexant outperformed it on sleep onset and maintenance, and it did so with fewer issues around postural instability, meaning it was less likely to make someone unsteady when they got up in the night. That's not a small thing. Falls in adults over 70 are not just inconvenient. A hip fracture at 75 carries a 1-year mortality rate that would shock most people. So a medication that helps you sleep with less risk of destabilizing you at 2 a.m., that's a real distinction, not a marketing claim. Now, I'll be straight with you. Both Suvorexant and Lemborexant are Schedule IV controlled substances. In practice, the dependence risk appears considerably lower than benzodiazepines or Z drugs, but they require a prescription, more monitoring, and cost can be a real barrier. I'm not telling you any of these 5 medications are right for you specifically. That conversation has to happen with your doctor, with your full medication list in front of you. What I am telling you is that these are the medications with real evidence for your age group. These are the names worth knowing, because if your doctor reaches for Ambien or Restoril as a first move, you now know enough to ask whether one of these is a better fit. And I want to be direct about what's actually at stake here, because the data we covered earlier is worth making concrete. Think about the person you are right now. You drive yourself where you need to go. You follow a conversation without losing the thread. You remember the names, your grandchildren's teachers, your neighbor's kids, the details from a phone call last Tuesday. You make your own decisions. That independence, that clarity, it isn't separate from how well your brain is being maintained every single night. Sleep is when it does its housekeeping, when it clears the metabolic waste that builds up during the day, including the proteins linked to Alzheimer's. That clearance happens during deep sleep, the deep sleep you're getting less and less of. So 5 years from now, 10 years from now, the gap between the person who found something that actually worked and the person who kept grabbing Tylenol PM isn't small. One of them is still sharp, still driving, still present at the dinner table in a way that matters. The other has been quietly losing ground in ways that don't announce themselves until a lot of ground is already gone. I've seen that trajectory. It doesn't happen all at once. That's what makes it so easy to miss until it isn't. Medication 5, extended release melatonin. Some of you are already thinking, melatonin? I've tried melatonin. It didn't do anything, and that's worth addressing directly, because there's a good chance you tried the wrong kind. Most melatonin sold off the shelf is immediate release. You take it, it peaks quickly, and it's mostly gone within a couple of hours. For a younger adult with a relatively intact circadian system, that burst can be enough to nudge sleep onset. For someone over 70, where the whole melatonin rhythm is blunted across the entire night, a quick spike and dropout doesn't match the biological need. Extended release melatonin is different. It releases slowly over several hours, much more closely mirroring what a healthy melatonin rhythm is supposed to look like. It's not flooding the system, it's trickling in the way the pineal gland used to do it. This is also why dose matters more than people realize. The standard doses at Costco or any pharmacy, 5 milligrams, 10 milligrams, even the popular gummies, are actually higher than what research supports for older adults. The sweet spot in most studies for this age group is between 0.5 and 2 milligrams extended release. Less is often more. A low dose that mimics a natural rhythm works better than a high dose that overwhelms the receptors. For some people, this is genuinely all they need. For others, it works best alongside a broader conversation that includes the prescription options we've covered. So let's put all 5 together. Ramelteon and extended-release melatonin both work with your circadian biology, best for difficulty falling asleep. Low-dose doxepin targets late-night wakefulness, that 3 a.m., 4 a.m. problem. Suvorexant and lemborexant quiet the brain's wake drive, useful for both ends of the night. None of them are Ambien, none of them are Benadryl, none of them are what most older adults are currently taking for sleep. Write down those 5 names, bring them to your doctor. That conversation, armed with this, is a very different conversation than walking out with another refill of something that's on the warning list. People who find something that actually works and stay consistent with it are the ones who stay sharper, more independent, more themselves for longer. That can be you. It starts with the right conversation. If this was useful, subscribe. And if someone in your life has been struggling with this and reaching for the wrong things, send it their way. Take care of yourself.